talking with Metalholic Magazine and Mojo Radio, and with me today, DC of I Empire. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. We're just hustling down here in the Sunshine State today, so.
Yeah, a little bit of time in the Florida sun, huh? Well, that's your home ground anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely get plenty of sun. We try not to take it for granted, but yeah, just big things happening and a lot of personal things going on, a lot of professional things going on, so I'm just trying to keep up with the hustle.
It's all about juggling all the balls that you can. At least that's what your partner in crime, Will Hunt, says. So.
Right, yeah, you're supposed to put as many irons in the fire as you can, but I tell you, I wouldn't mind just having one golden iron and sticking to it. So
there you go. Well, I Empire, you guys just came out with the album a few months ago, Moment of Impact, and I want to talk about that in a little bit, but tell us a little bit about the project, how it all came together, and how you sort of fit in as the final piece of the puzzle.
Well, it's been unconventional, I'll tell you that much, and you know, usually from a lot of the scenarios that, you know, we're used to, you start young, you meet some guys that you get along with, and, you know, you all live near each other, and you jam out a few times a week, and, you know, start playing the local scene, and, you know, for us, we definitely skipped a bunch of those steps, and, you know, we're not in each other's backyards, you know, so, you know, thanks to social media and the social networking, you know, systems out there, you know, Corey was able to kind of catch wind that, you know, I didn't have anything going on, and there was always the 6 degrees of separation kind of going on with, you know, me being familiar with the Seven Dust guys from, you know, way back in the Submerged days, and so it was interesting. He called me up, hit me up one day, and was just like, give me a call, and, you know, want to see if you might be interested in being a part of this idea that we have going. I hate calling things projects, you know, because it definitely is more than a project for us, but you know, wanted me to take a listen to see if I'd be interested, and I heard some of the music for it, and I said absolutely. It was exactly what I was looking for.
Now, when you first got the tape of the first 4 or 5 songs, when you listened to the music, what were your initial thoughts and what's your initial reaction to it?
It just sounded how I felt, you know. I think it, you know, me naturally, you know, I tend to write ballady type of stuff, and you know, I'm not a guitar player, so I definitely don't have the riffage, you know, in my repertoire. But you know, I knew where I was at mentally, and you know, what kind of lyrical concepts were, you know, kicking around in my brain, and what I was feeling, and when I heard the music, it just seemed like it was all clicked, you know, it all matched, and just sat down and started writing my ideas, and those are usually some of the best songs, some of the first ones. So.
Right. And I know when you guys finally hooked up, I Pray, which leads off the album, was the first song you guys did together. What was that moment like when you guys got in there and started working on it, and you were like, hey, we've got something here?
Yeah, it was, I think I had like 4 or 5 ideas that I came up that first trip, and it was interesting just meeting each other to begin with. I mean, this is a scenario where I think in a lot of bands there's some disrespect there, you know, in the sense that, you know, I think some guys are kind of weak links, you know, or maybe they just don't really fit in, and so there isn't a lot of respect, you know, around the whole circle. And, you know, for a band like this, we just kind of knew what everybody was bringing to the table, so that, you know, we're starting off with such a level of respect, you know, right off the bat, that it was a pretty awesome day. And then on top of that, you know, we kind of got in the studio. He immediately picked me up from the studio, or from the airport. We went straight to the studio, and you know, had the mic set up, and they had the Pro Tools rig sitting there, you know, fired up, and, you know, he just turned around and looked at me and said, all right, you know, what do you want to do? You know, what do you want to try first? And, you know, I told him I had this idea for I Pray, which I was calling I Pray, and it was called Moment of Impact before that, and that's kind of where the title came from, but the musical track. But I said, well, I've got this idea for I Pray, and I was like, it's either going to bomb, you know, or it's going to be some of the baddest, you know, stuff out around. So he fired it up. We went straight to the chorus, and I don't know. We laid it down. Laid it down to rough take and bounced it down. Sent it to Brad, you know, BC, and he called us about 45 seconds later. You know, however long it took to get to that first chorus, and we said, all right, this is what's going down.
Well, that's it. It had to be in awesome feeling for you when that happened. But in the interim, getting to that awesome feeling between Submersed and that initial moment of impact with the guys.
All right.
You were sort of going through some tough times yourself and sort of feeling a little bit humbled from what you said. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on in that interim?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have been blessed. I've got a lot of good people in my life, and I don't think I was, struggling or going through, as bad times as a lot of folks out there. So I definitely want to undermine my statement of struggle. But I was definitely going through a period where, I think when music or an art form in general, whether it may be painting or writing books or whatever, it's just really a part of who you are. And I think whenever you're not able to, whenever you're almost like that caged tiger, you're not loose in the jungle, you're not, exercising your instincts and honing in your skills, that just naturally come about. I think it just kind of kills a little piece of you. And that's kind of what I was going through, and, just really, trying, wondering exactly, what was going to happen. And, worked a few different jobs, to stay busy and make ends meet, and that'll definitely, make you miss this day job a little more. So, it was a struggle, but I think it was more of a struggle that I kind of needed to go through in order to find out a little more about myself and definitely humble myself. I think when you're young, you can kind of bank on your aggressive nature, and just kind of jump out there and shoot first and ask questions later. And I think as you kind of get past that arrogance a little bit, you start realizing, just how much of a interaction with other human beings this job really is, and just really the humbled approach that it takes to really connect. So I feel like that whole experience has kind of put me in a better position to connect with our audience.
And what's the story behind the band name, I Empire?
It's kind of like any other, band trying to put a name together. I mean, you dread it. You dread that experience, and you're just hoping that somebody comes up with something cool. And we went back and forth for a month or so and came up with a big, long list, of all sorts of ideas on, kind of where we wanted to head and the direction. And we just wanted it to have an impact. We wanted it to be, thought-provoking, and we're definitely a little political, and so there's some political undertone to it. But, once we just kind of came up with it, I don't know, we're just like, that sounds really cool. It's really different. We're big believers that the music kind of makes the name. I don't know how keen people were on Pearl Jam, until they actually heard the music, or Rolling Stones, but it's something that really fit our sound, and now that we've had it for a while, it definitely fits our personality. So,
well, the debut album, Moment of Impact, I mean, it's a beast. It's sort of pummeling and melodic and aggressive and thought-provoking all at the same time. What sort of response have you been getting to the record so far?
I think it's pretty varied. I mean, it's kind of like the record itself. There's a lot of different sounds on it. There's a lot of different tones. I mean, I always agree with the good stuff. I think you have to be a little biased in what you're doing. We definitely like the music that we're writing, and it feels good to know that people agree and that they share the same opinion. But I also look at some of the haters, and some of the critical comments out there, because I think you can, even though you may not agree with it, I think there is some stuff in there that you can use to better yourself. And I love this record. I think there's a lot of great songs on it. I definitely think it's an awesome opening statement for us as a band, and but in the same sense, I can hear some areas of growth there, and I can think of some ways already of how we can make it better and really work on this next record to try to raise the bar.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great first volley. I love the album myself, and I know some of your favorite songs on the album. We'll talk about those in a minute, but one of my favorite songs is the second track on the album, Idiot. Tell me a little bit about that song.
That was, at the beginning of this process, it was kind of me flying back and forth, working with Corey on, the tracks that they had put together over the previous, 2 to 3 years. And, after that, it was kind of like, all right, well, let's start from scratch. Now we have our guys, and we just locked up in the house for the whole month of January of last year. And, Idiot was the first song that came out of that, kind of that lockup. It was just one of those where, Corey has this knack of just pulling some really creative type of bass lines. It's nothing real complicated, but it just has a groove to it. And, right off the bat, the drums were able to kind of lock in with that. And, the guitars just kind of locked in with everything else. It's a very synchronized track, so I think it really kind of pummels you through. But, the concept lyrically for it, it just seemed like it was a call to arms, to me, it just seemed like it was, we've all been watching our CNNs and our Fox News or whatever you're watching, but, I think it's definitely a statement, a political statement from us in the sense that, we're not stupid out here. We're intelligent human beings, and I think we can, see through the funny stuff and just kind of one of those songs that try to help give your fan base a voice a little bit.
Right. And which are you, more a CNN or a Fox guy?
I'm definitely not a Fox guy. I can tell you that. I find my problems with a little bit of everything. I think a lot of what they don't deal with is common sense. Everything is agenda driven nowadays. But
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of common sense out there. I think if you think clearly enough, you'll be pointing in the right direction.
And whose idea was it to use that Lethal Weapon clip at the beginning of Bull in a China Shop?
I tell you what, I can't remember exactly, who's. Well, I mean, we were just into Lethal Weapon at that point in time, locked up in the house, kind of demoing songs. We were out in this place called Flowery Branch, Georgia, which is, boondocks pretty much. And so pretty much you either got, music, or movies, or food. And that's about the three things we were doing. And we were just locked in about 2 or 3 days of just kind of, tossing around Lethal Weapon quotes. And, we were definitely making fun of Mel Gibson. I think he was pretty hot on the ticker, with all of his phone calls that were recorded and all that stuff, kind of losing his temper. And we're just sitting in there one day, just kind of, watching Corey clean stuff up and, kind of put the demo together so we can listen to some playback. And we just set up the microphone and we were like, why don't you just, record this real quick? And so somebody just got up there and recorded the line, and we just kind of slipped it in there, and it was just so funny that we were just like, why not? We're doing this record, creatively it's our baby, and, we don't have anybody to tell us otherwise. So, we left it in there. We thought it was fitting for the content of the track, to kind of put Mr. Bull in a China Shop on there himself.
There you go. And I know that I Pray, the first song that you guys did together, is one of your favorites off the album, but the other one is Feels Like I'm Falling, which is, you said you're sort of a ballad type writer yourself, and it's sort of in that vein. What's your love affair with that song?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the things I love about this song is it does give you that expansive epicness of a ballad, but it still has that driving meter to it, You don't really feel like it ever slows down, it just kind of keeps you pushing through the track. But it's just really personal to me, I mean, you can take every line in that song literally, That's exactly how I was feeling, it's exactly the desire and the longing to make music again and to really, I don't know, I guess, slap myself around a little bit, wake myself up a little bit, and, I think just kind of take control of your own destiny, and that was a track that just, even till this day when I listen to it, I can get a little choked up if I really lock into it, but, it's just personal. I'm just really, I just feel fortunate that we were able to make that song. I like it a lot.